Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. Today I'm going to recap last night's NBA, NHL, and MLB spring training games, look ahead to today's games in each sport. NFL free agency will have its own segment today, and I'll be separating that from the news and notes. And so news and notes will be the other news and notes at the end of the show. And my best bet of the day. All right, we're going to start in the NBA, where there were 8 games last night. So we're going to go over them all and look ahead to the games for tonight. Hornets over the Kings, 122-116. The Hornets are 20-18. Sacramento 15-24. Terry Rozier 26 lead the way for Charlotte. De'Aaron Fox 29 points and 8 assists. Bucks over the Wizards, 133-122. The Bucks 25-14. Washington 14-24. Giannis Antetokounmpo 31 points, 15 boards and 10 assists. I'm thinking about laying a wager on him to win the MVP. If the Bucks are to go on a run, let's say Durant's not back and the Nets sort of struggle a little bit, and Philadelphia, they don't have Embiid right now, so it's not inconceivable that they lose a couple games in a row. So lucky to the 1 seed, Giannis MVP, so you can't rule that out. Bradley Beal, 37 for Washington. Spurs over the Pistons, 109-99. The Spurs are 20-16. Detroit's 10-29. DeJounte Murray had 19 points and 6 assists. Josh Jackson had 15 for Detroit. Nets over the Knicks, 117-112. Nets 27-13. Knicks 20-20. Kyrie Irving had 30. James Harden had 25, 15, and 15. Julius Randle had 33, 12, and 6. And at the end of the game, he tried for the game-tying 3, and he clearly traveled. His feet were, up in the air. But the issue is that Kyrie Irving pushed the ball, so it should have been a jump ball. But no, they called it traveling, which was a rough call in the time of the game. And the Knicks lose. And if they had a healthy team, they probably would have beaten Brooklyn. But let's face it, the caveat in this is Kevin Durant. And if Kevin Durant's there, the Nets probably blow out the Knicks. Clippers over the Mavs, 109-99. The Clippers 26-15. Dallas 20-18. Kawhi Leonard 22 points and 7 assists. Luka Doncic 25, 10, and 16. Nuggets over the Pacers, 121-106. The Nuggets 23-16. Indy 17-21. Nikola Jokic 32 points and 14 boards. Malcolm Brogdon had 24 for Indiana. Suns over the Grizzlies 122-99. The Suns 26-12. Memphis 17-19. Devin Booker had 27 points for the Suns, and Jonas Valanciunas had 24 with 17 boards for Memphis. Lakers over the Warriors 128-97. Lakers 26-13. Golden State 20-20. Montrezl Harrell actually led the Lakers in scoring with 27, but LeBron had a triple-double, 22, 11, and 10. And Stephen Curry had 27 for Golden State. Looking ahead to today's window, 7:30, you have the Jazz and the Celtics on TNT. The Jazz I have projected here as an 8.5-point favorite, total 224. And FanDuel has this at Jazz by 4.5, total 227.5. I'm going to lay the 4.5 with the Jazz. I know the Celtics are getting a little healthier, but the reality is that the Jazz are the best team in the league right now from a record standpoint, and they continue to dominate against everybody. And the best player on the court will probably be Jason Tatum in this game, but it could be Donovan Mitchell on the right night. So I'm going to lay the 4.5 with Utah because they're the better team than Boston. As simple as that. Cavs Heat, I'm at Heat 10.5, total 214.5. Meanwhile, it's 10.5, we don't have a total yet. If the total is anything higher than 216, I'm betting the under. And if it's anything lower than 213, I'm betting the over. Knicks Sixers, I'm at Sixers 10.5, total 218.5. You know, it's Sixers 7, total 216.5. I'm laying it with Philly. My numbers are just not strong on New York. I know no Joel Embiid, and I factored that in my line. No Derrick Rose either. They covered yesterday, and that's credit to Tom Thibodeau because he just simply is a great coach. And I just think that second of a back-to-back, I could see a potential blowout here. Or not a blowout necessarily, but a game that is close, and then Philly just pulls away late with free throws. So I'm going to lay to 7 with the Sixers. 8 o'clock, running an 8 o'clock window. The last two games I just did, Knicks Sixers and Cavs Heat, were both 8 o'clock games. Thunder Bulls, I'm at Bulls 2.5, total 223.5. While it is Bulls 6, total 224.5. I guess Shai Gilgeous-Alexander isn't playing because that's a low line. So without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I make this Bulls 5.5, total 223.5. I have no choice but to take the under for the show's sake. I won't bet it, but the case is that no SGA. So offense may be hard to come by for Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City under has been very popular, so under 224.5, I like that a lot. Hawks Rockets, I'm at Hawks 11, total 222.5. You know, it's Hawks 9.5. We don't have a total yet. If the total is anything higher than 224, I'm betting the under. If it's anything lower than 221, I'm betting the over. 10 o'clock TNT, Pelicans Trailblazers. I'm at Portland 4, total 231. And it's the return of C.J. McCollum. And it's 1.5 only. I'm laying the 1.5 of Portland. I love it. I've been anti-Portland while those guys have been out, but McCollum's back. And the line is still low. Like, people just love betting on Zion. I get it. Zion this, Zion that. Zion's not even the best player on the court. It's Dame time, baby. I'm laying the 1.5, even though it's juiced at minus 115. And last but not least, 10:30 Wolves Lakers. I'm at Lakers by a whopping 22.5, total 221.5. And it's 9 and 225. I'm laying the 9. I know no Anthony Davis, but the Timberwolves are so bad. I'm laying it with the Lakers. That's just ridiculous as a line. How are the Lakers single digits against arguably the worst team in the NBA? That's just baffling to me, guys. Like, come on, Vegas. All right, now I'm going to move on to hockey. We will go over what was a very busy window yesterday, and we will look ahead to tonight's games. Flyers over the Rangers 5-4 in overtime on a game winner by Jacob Voracek. Flyers 14-9-3, Rangers 11-12-4. The number 3 starting game with a goal and assist, Joel Farabee. He's been the breakout guy on the Flyers this year. Number 2 starting game with a goal and 2 assists, Artemi Panarin. And the number 1 starting game with a goal and 2 assists, Jacob Voracek. So my over pick was correct. Preds over Lightning 4-1. My under pick was correct, but except the wrong team I had winning, but that doesn't matter. My pick was correct. Nashville 12-16-1. Tampa 19-6-2. Number 3 starting game with an assist, Yanni Goudreau. Number 2 starting game with 38 saves on 39 shots, Pekka Rinne. And the number 1 starting game with the goal and 3 assists, Kalle Jankrok. Panthers over the Blackhawks 6-3. Panthers 19-5-4. Chicago 14-11-5. The number 3 starting game with 26 saves on 29 shots, Sergei Bobrovsky. Number 2 starting game with a goal and an assist, Gustav Forsling. And the number 1 star of the game with a goal and 2 assists, Alexander Barkov. Penguins over the Bruins 4-1 as the Penguins won their 6th straight. Pittsburgh 18-9-1. What a turnaround for the Pens. They were very mediocre to start the year, and now they're rolling. Boston 14-8-4. The number 3 started the game with a goal and 2 assists, Sidney Crosby. Number 2 started the game with 42 saves on 43 shots, Tristan Jarry. And the number 1 started the game with a goal and assist and his 1100th NHL point, Evgeny Malkin. Canucks over the Sabres 3-2 in overtime on a game winner by JT Miller. Vancouver 14-16-2. Ottawa 10-20-2. The number 3 started game with the overtime winner, JT Miller. The number 2 started game with 25 saves on 28 shots, Joey Dackard. And the number 1 started game with 44 saves on 46 shots, Thatcher Demko. Capitals over the Sabres 6-0. The Caps 18-6-4. Buffalo 6-17-4. The number 3 started game with an assist, Dmitry Orlov. The number 2 started game with 2 assists, Justin Schultz. And the number 1 started game with assists, TJ Oshie. And then obviously Vitek Vanacek gets the shutout, but he's not even a top 3 star of the game, amazingly enough. Habs over the Jets 4-2. The Habs are 13-8-7. Winnipeg 17-9-2. The number 3 started game with 34 saves on 36 shots, Carey Price. The number 2 started game with 2 goals, Kyle Connor. Number 1 started game with 2 goals and an assist, Tyler Toffoli. Flames over the Oilers 4-3. The Flames 14-12-3. Edmonton 18-13-0. Number 3 started game with a goal and assist, Elias Lindholm. The number 2 started game with a goal and an assist, Andrew Magnapane. And the number 1 started game with 2 assists, Mikael Backlund. Golden Knights over the Sharks 2-1. The Golden Knights 19-6-1. The Sharks 11-12-3. Number 3 started game with the goal and assist, Mark Stone. Number 2 started game with the goal and assist, Max Pacioretty. Number 1 started game with 23 saves on 24 shots, Marc-Andre Fleury. And Blues Kings was postponed under his COVID issues. So we're supposed to play on Wednesdays, but we shall see. All right, tonight's games at 7 o'clock, you have the Sabres and the Devils. I just saw a crazy stat. The Devils have lost 11 in a row at home, and Buffalo has lost 11 straight, period. So something's got to give. Oof. The Devils are minus 180. Buffalo's plus 152. Over under 5.5. Under's minus 106. Over's minus 114. Buffalo plus 1.5 is minus 188. Devils minus 1.5 is plus 155. The Sabre opponent puck lines is where I've been going lately a lot. The Devils are bad. The Sabres are obviously bad. I have no choice but to pick the over 5.5 at a juice number at minus 114. I mean, all it takes is a empty net in a 3-2 game or a 3-3 game that goes to overtime, right? Or just a 3-3 game period. So, there you go. The Islanders and the Capitals, the first place team against the second place team in the Metro Division. The Islanders are minus 120. The Caps are plus 102. Over under 5.5. Over is minus 112. Under is minus 108. Isles minus 1.5 is plus 235. Caps plus 1.5 is minus 295. I'm going to take the Capitals as a home underdog at plus 102. The Capitals are a good underdog. I know they're on the second of a back-to-back. I don't get the disrespect for them in Vegas, so give me plus 102 for the Capitals. NBCSN tonight, the Bruins and the Penguins, a good one in the Metro Division. You have your third-place team against your fourth-place team. The Pens are minus 118. The Bruins are even money. Over under 5.5. Over is minus 118. The under is minus 104. Boston plus 1.5 is minus 310. The Pens minus 1.5 is plus 245. This is a hard one, guys. I'm going to go Penguins in regulation at plus 135 as the pick for their 7th in a row. They've been just playing great. Sidney Crosby playing like a Hart Trophy candidate. He was 25-1 in the preseason. I remember when I had my buddy Steve on the show back in January, we saw that and we were amazed that he was 25-1. So, Penguins plus 135 for tonight in regulation. And by the way, player futures are not up at the moment. It's just Stanley Cup and President's Trophy. So, yeah, plus 135 Penguins in regulation. 7:30 Hurricanes, Red Wings. The Canes are minus 240. The Red Wings are plus 198. Over under 5.5. Over is minus 122. Under is even money. Canes minus 1.5 is plus 116. Red Wings plus 1.5 is minus 140. I'm going to go under 5.5 and even money. Carolina's a solid defensive team. Detroit's been in a lot of low-scoring games, and they stink offensively. So go under 5.5 at even money. 8 o'clock, Coyotes Wild. The Wild are minus 215. The Coyotes are plus 180. Over under 5.5. Unders minus 128. Overs plus 104. Coyotes plus 1.5 is minus 162. The Wild minus 1.5 is plus 134. I'm going to go over 5.5 at plus 104. The Coyotes have weirdly been an over team this year. Darcy Kemper's on in the lineup at the moment, so I'm going to go over 5.5 at plus 104. 8:30, the Lightning and the Stars. The Lightning are minus 158. The Stars are plus 132. Over on the 5.5. Overs minus 102. The unders minus 120. Lightning minus 1.5 is plus 184. The Stars plus 1.5 is minus 225. I'm going to go Tampa in regulation at even money. I know the Stars have been playing a little bit better of late. I think there's a chance that their COVID pause could cost them a playoff spot if they don't play the proper number of games. But I'm going to go Lightning in regulation at even money. At 9 o'clock tonight, the Ducks and the Avs. The Avs are minus 330. The Ducks are plus 265. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 106. The unders minus 114. Ducks plus 1.5 is minus 108. The Avs minus 1.5 is minus 111. I'm going to go with the over here. I think that's pretty high. Colorado scores a lot of goals, so I'm going to go over 5.5 at minus 106 for tonight. Now I'm going to move on to Major League Baseball spring training, as I will go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to the matches for today. Yanks over the Phils 4-2. The Yankees have won 6 straight spring games, if that's irrelevant. Michael King to win. Hector Rondon the loss. Nestor Cortez to save. Gary Sanchez has had a decent spring training. He's looked really good. He had an RBI single in the game today. Rhys Hoskins homered for Philly. Giancarlo Stanton's had a really good spring for the Yanks. Rays over the Red Sox 3-2. Michael Chavez homered for Boston. Marlins over the Astros 6-5. Sixto Sanchez to win. Jose Urquidy the loss. The Braves beat the Twins 5-1. I thought they said a tie for a second. Oops. Bryce Wilson gets the win. Drew Smeltzer the loss. Ronald Acuna homered in that game for Atlanta. Orioles over the Pirates 12-3. Austin Hayes, Brian Hayes, Freddie Galvis, all homered in this game for their respective teams. The Blue Jays over the Tigers 4-0. Hyunjin Ryu the win, Matt Boyd the loss. J.D. Davis. Don't tell me J.D. Davis is on the Blue Jays. I missed it. Jonathan Davis homered for Toronto in this game. Yeah, I was just going to say J. Davis. It made me think of J.D. Davis from the Mets, but whoops. Cardinals over the Nats 4-2. Ryan Zimmerman homered in this game for Washington, and Alex Reyes got the save for this game for the Cardinals. Cubs and White Sox ended in a 4-4 tie after 10. Nothing really happened in this game. An RBI single, or 2 of those by Eloy Jimenez of the White Sox. Indians over to A's 7-3. Cal Quantrill the win and Adam Kolarek the loss. Roberto Perez homered in this game for Cleveland. Royals over the Giants 6-1. Danny Duffy to win. Anthony Banda the loss. Diamondbacks over the Mariners 6-2. Taylor Widener the win. Christian Walker homered in the game for Arizona. Reds over the Angels 7-3. Shohei Ohtani homered twice for the Angels in this game, and Joe Adell homered for the Angels as well. Dodgers over the Rockies 12-5. Dustin made the win, and Jose Mujica the loss. Corey Seager homered in this game for the Dodgers. Padres over the Brewers 13-3 and 8. Blake Snell the win and Brett Anderson the loss. No notables really homered in this game for either team. Today's games, 1 o'clock, Tigers, Yanks. Braves, Red Sox, Orioles, Rays, Pirates, Twins, Blue Jays, Phillies, Astros, Mets, 4 o'clock, Brewers, Dodgers, White Sox, Padres, Indians, Angels, A's, Diamondbacks, 6 o'clock, Marlins, Nationals, 9 o'clock, Rockies, Reds, Mariners, Royals, and 10 o'clock, the Rangers against the Giants. All right, now we'll move on to what you've been waiting for. NFL free agency. It's been a frenzy for sure, as it is each and every year. The big story to me is the New England Patriots signing a bunch of free agents. Jonnu Smith. They signed Jalen Mills, the ex-Eagle, Matt Judon, Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar. Those are big additions for the New England Patriots. There are some people declaring them the AFC East favorites already. Like, come on, guys. Did you not watch Cam Newton last year? He sucked. And he's never healthy. And, oh yeah, the Buffalo Bills have the best quarterback in the division in Josh Allen. And that could very well change if the Miami Dolphins acquire Deshaun Watson. So, the Patriots might be a wild card team, depending on how things break for teams in the offseason. But to go out and say that they're the team to beat in the AFC East, to me, is just absolutely laughable. It's all about the quarterback and coach. I know you have the coach, but I just don't trust Cam Newton anymore. News coming down right now, Von Miller staying with the Broncos as the team will exercise the pass rusher's $7 million option on his $18 million salary for the 2021 season. So, Von Miller back on the Broncos. They need him back. I know he's been very injury prone. His plays in decline. But this is still Von Miller, Super Bowl champion, a lethal pass rusher when he's healthy. And the Broncos, to me, need Von Miller if they want to be a real threat. Ryan Fitzpatrick signs a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Washington professional football team. That is a good signing for them. I think at the moment they are right there at Dallas for the team to beat in the NFC East. But to me, Washington needs some players around Fitzpatrick. Terry McLaurin should not be their only option. They need a receiver. And they need a couple other needs too. I think tight end could be used as well. So, to me, they're a competent wideout and a competent tight end away from being the favorites in the NFC East. To me, they're right there at Dallas, but not yet. And because Dak Prescott, let's face it, is much better than Ryan Fitzpatrick. And the Dak Prescott injury is what decided the NFC East in my mind last year. If he was healthy, they win that division at 10-6, at least. But yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick to Washington's a good signing. He's an upgrade over Dwayne Haskins and over Alex Smith. And all due respect to Alex Smith, by the way, because of what happened and him being the comeback player here. But reality is that Fitzpatrick's better, and Washington knows it. So, good signing by Washington. And it could go to $12 million with incentives, by the way. Kevin Pierre-Louis, 2-year deal, up to $8 million with the Houston Texans. Why are the Texans signing players? They should be tanking as they're trying to trade Deshaun Watson. I don't get it. Jameis Winston, 1-year deal, $12 million with the Saints. Not a surprise. The Saints will probably make Winston their starter unless they really believe in this Taysom Hill. I said yesterday I felt that Taysom Hill was the most overrated player in football, and he is, quite frankly. But Jameis Winston, the perceived starter for the Saints, but I'm not big on the Saints, really, because I just don't trust Jameis. He held the Bucs back, and the reason why the Bucs won the Super Bowl is because they had TB12 at quarterback, quite frankly. And if they had Jameis Winston last year, they're probably not even a playoff team. And at worst case, they're probably where the Chicago Bears were last year, in that 6-7 range. The Broncos are giving running back Philip Lindsay the low RFA tender. Matt Fielder, 3-year deal, $21 million with the Chargers. And the Chargers are making their offensive line better. 3-year deal, $37.5 million for Corey Davis with the Jets. That's a good signing for them, as they need a number one wideout. Corey Davis had a breakthrough year at the Titans last year and really showed that potential off. Jason Verrett back to the 49ers on a 1-year deal. He played well for them, so it shouldn't be a surprise that he's back. Carlos Hyde, 2 years, $6 million with the Jaguars. That is somewhat interesting, as they're trying to strengthen the run game with Carlos Hyde and James Robinson. Rob Gronkowski, 1 year, $10 million with the Bucs. No surprise. The Bucs are really bringing back the band, trying to go for the repeat, and I don't blame them. Philip Dorsett with the Jaguars is a good fit because he has the speed, and Urban Meyer wanted that. 3-year, $30 million deal, $19.5 million guaranteed. Ronald Darby to the Denver Broncos. So the Broncos add depth at the cornerback position. Joe Thomas, 1 year, $2 million with the Texans. Leonard Floyd, 4 years, $64 million with the Rams. There are reports that the Giants were looking at Leonard Floyd, but Floyd ultimately wound up going back to the Rams, as the Rams are trying to build that super team around Matt Stafford. The Nelson Aguilar contract with New England was 2 years, $26 million. Yannick Ngakoue, 2 years, $26 million with the Raiders. I think that's a decent signing. A lot of people hate that signing because Ngakoue wasn't good last year. But there's a lot of turmoil, and he obviously wanted out of Jacksonville. And he probably wanted to get paid, but he really didn't get what he wanted. But maybe he rejuvenates his career with the Raiders. 1 year, $2 million for Terrence Brooks on the Texans. And 1 year, $6 million for Malik Collins on the Texans. Dietrich Weiss back to the Patriots. This was a big one. 5 years, $80 million. Chiefs are signing Joe Thuney. So that's a good signing for KC, as their interior offensive line gets better with him. And the guy, I forget his name, that opted out last year for the Chiefs. But they lose the 2 tackles, and they need to address the tackle positions. And they still have the draft to do it, and they still have some cap, or maybe they can get somebody on the cheap. Gerard Davis, 1 year, $7 million with the Jets. 4 years, $56 million is the Matt Judon contract for New England, $32 million guaranteed. 4 years, $26 million was the Jalen Mills contract for New England. And then, let's see here. Cam Irving to the Panthers, 2 years, $10 million with $8 million guaranteed. The nose tackle, Davon Godchaux, 2 year, $16 million with New England. The Jonnu Smith contract was 4 years, $50 million, 32 and a quarter guaranteed. 3 years, $13.5 million. Pat Elflein to the Panthers. Bucks re-signed Shaq Barrett, 4-year deal of $72 million. He deserves that deal. $36 million guaranteed. And then the other one I missed was Carl Lawson to the Jets. That was a big signing for the Jets. 3 years, $45 million for Carl Lawson to the Jets. And then Dalvin Tomlinson to the Vikings. 2 years, $22 million. So history repeating itself a little bit with the Vikings signing the former Giant defensive tackle, first with Linval Joseph and now with Dalvin Tomlinson. So what a great pickup for Minnesota to help improve their interior defense. And in terms of winners and losers, the Patriots have to be a winner. I know I just said that they shouldn't be the favorites in the AFC East, but they're still a winner. They have better players on their team. Belichick is motivated to win, as we see. And now the question is, do they bring in another quarterback alongside Cam Newton? Whether that's a rookie or another veteran. The Jets, to me, are a winner. They get a receiver and a pass rusher. I think they can use one more receiver, and there's still good receivers on the board. Kenny Galladay, Juju Smith-Schuster among them, and then Will Fuller, too. Odell Beckham Jr. is a trade candidate, potentially. So, it's going to be interesting to see where the rest of these big receivers go. The Jets can use one more of those. So, two AFC East teams I have as a winner. I know they didn't really do anything special yesterday, but they did something big a couple weeks ago, and that's the Cardinals signing J.J. Watt. I think that was a good move. Losers, the New York Giants, they lose out on re-signing Dalvin Tomlinson, and they don't address the pass rush position. Oh, and the other free agency thing I missed was Bud Dupree to the Titans. I somehow missed that one. 5 years, $80 million, I believe, was the contract, which was crazy. So that's a big get for Tennessee's pass rush. Trey Henderson to the Bengals, 4 years, $60 million was another one I missed. While talking about the free agents as well. And the Kendrick Bourne contract was 3 years, $22.5 million. So, say back to the Giants. They don't get a pass rusher. They don't address receiver yet. But the real reason why they're a loser is because they failed to sign or re-sign Dalvin Tomlinson. The Packers tried to trade for him at the deadline. And the Giants said, no, we're good. We're still in the NFC East race. Ridiculous. Dave Gettleman is an idiot. Like, I've been saying this, the Giants should have never hired him in the first place because he was in the front office when the Giants were winning, when Ernie Acosti was still the general manager, and he made Gettleman and their former GM, Jerry Reese, look competent in ways. Oh, and so did Cam Newton in Carolina when Gettleman was running that show. Although the Super Bowl's appearance was solely because of Cam Newton. Now, I mean, he did help build that roster, but Cam Newton was the MVP that year, and he didn't draft Cam Newton. So, yeah, Dave Gettleman ran over. But yeah, the Giants are a loser. The Steelers are a loser. They lose Bud Dupree, and they lose an offensive lineman. Oh, and another free agency signing that I missed was Corey Linsley to the Chargers. I believe that contract was like 4 years, $60 million. Let's see if I got that number right. 5 years, $62.5 million was the contract for Linsley. And Bud Dupree to Tennessee. I think that was 5 for $80 million. I'm not. Oh, 82.5. 582.5 was the Bud Dupree number. Tennessee's a loser. Or I'm sorry, not Tennessee. I said Pittsburgh. Green Bay's a loser because they lose Corey Linsley. So yeah, Giants, Steelers, Packers losers. The Texans because they didn't trade Deshaun Watson yet. And there's some other teams I could point out as losers as well. The Chargers, to me, are a winner. They upgrade the offensive line. So, yeah, again, winners, Patriots, Jets, Chargers, Titans, Buccaneers, because they bring the band back together and they re-sign Shaq Barrett. And you could argue the biggest winner is the Buccaneers because they bring everybody back. And, Tom Brady did not retire. And the biggest losers to me are the Giants, the Packers, and the Steelers. And the Texans. So this list is obviously going to change within the next couple hours because, by the way, if the Giants go out and sign Kenny Galladay and they address pass rush and bring back Leonard Williams, then they instantly flip to a winner. So these things can change on a dime. And in Pittsburgh, it can change on a dime if they sign a pass rusher or upgrade a wide receiver or re-sign Juju or whatever. But yeah, some of these loser picks can change to winners instantly. Now I'm going to move on to the other news and notes around the world of sports. 19-year-old Timur Fazudinov was playing for Dynamo St. Petersburg junior team, and he was hit by a puck from the neutral zone, and he passed away, unfortunately. All thoughts and prayers go out to Fazudinov's friends and family and his teammates and that league. That's really, really sad. Julius Randle had a pity party after that Knicks defeat to the Nets, as I talked about in the NBA segment. And he had to be held back after that controversial call when the Knicks were trailing by 3. I wonder if he's going to get fined for that. He really did act like a baby and very immaturely. Did not like that from Julius Randle. A couple college basketball firings. Indiana fired Archie Miller. Very disappointing tenure for Archie Miller. I said it on Twitter yesterday. He's the Tom Herman of college basketball. A coach that had success at a lesser program and gets to a big boy program and is a disappointment. That's what Tom Herman was in Texas. And in Texas, ultimately fired him. And you could argue that Archie Miller's and Tom Herman's firings were premature. And obviously Texas hired Steve Sarkisian to replace Herman. Now who does Indiana hire to replace Archie Miller? They got to get a big name in there. Scott Drew, I think, is a candidate. Chris Beard's a candidate. John Beilein's a candidate. I think there's some other guys that you could talk about. Nate Oates at Alabama, although he just signed a big extension with the Crimson Tide. There's some other guys that you could argue should be candidates. Would they bring back Calvin Sampson? That would be pretty cool if they brought back Calvin Sampson. I think Beilein makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, he's getting older, and I don't know if he would really want to be there long term. He's almost 70, and I don't know how that would work out. Although he had all the success in Michigan, he obviously knows the Big Ten, so a Beilein hiring would make sense, and I think it would be a decent hire for Indiana, but I think that they could do better than John Beilein. I think Chris Beard, I think, would be a home run. Scott Drew would be a home run. I think that Nate Oates would be a home run. He's turned that Alabama program into something good in the SEC. That could be competitive with Kentucky on a good Kentucky year for years to come. So that's another good potential candidate. And the other big coaching news of yesterday was also in the Big Ten, as Minnesota fires Richard Pitino. And Richard Pitino is now the favorite for the New Mexico job, so at least Richard Pitino will land on his feet somewhere to an MWC school. And Pitino in New Mexico, I think, would be a solid fit, as Pitino could rejuvenate his career a little bit. And potential replacements at Minnesota would be interesting. I think that they're probably going to be thinking lesser of what Indiana is thinking. Guys that I think Minnesota could be looking at is Wes Miller of UNC Greensboro. I think that would be a solid fit. UC Santa Barbara's coach, John Pasternak, I think he would be, or Joe Pasternak, I think he'd be a good fit at Minnesota, but I don't know if he's willing to make that jump yet. Richie McKay has to be considered. I love Richie McKay. He's awesome. I think he'd do a great job with that program. There's some other ones that I could rattle off. Ron Hunter of Tulane. But I think that that's not really that realistic. But I think that's a name that can't be discarded. Steve Alford, maybe. But I don't think that he would make that jump. Although, obviously, right now he is coaching Nevada. And he's going to be rumored for Indiana, obviously. And I think Alford did a good job this year at Nevada. Although they're not in the tournament or anything, I think he did a solid job this year. I think he's a candidate for both Indiana and Minnesota. I wouldn't rule him out. Tom Crean is another one. I think he did a good job with Georgia. I think he's a candidate for Minnesota. But there's some other guys, too, that I think are potential candidates. And Penn State hired their new coach, Mika Shrewsbury. To me, this is a surprising hire. I thought that Penn State was going to go for a bigger splash. Obviously, Shrewsbury's a Purdue assistant under Matt Painter, and Painter's a good coach, so maybe they're banking on him bringing similar traits as Matt Painter does at Purdue to rejuvenate that Penn State program. But obviously, Pat Chambers had to resign due to off-court issues rather than on-court. So regardless of what would have happened last year, if COVID didn't happen, I know they would have been in the tournament. But Pat Chambers wouldn't be the head coach because of the off-court stuff. So Mika Shrewsbury, the new head coach at Penn State, I think this is a weird hire. I think they should have gone for Richie McKay or UNC Greensboro's coach. So, yeah, very interesting. A couple other things. Gino Auriemma tested positive for COVID-19, so he'll miss UConn's first couple NCAA tournament games. So that is a big deal. And I don't know who's going to be coaching UConn while he's out. And if I hear anything, I will certainly talk about it on the show. Before I do Best Bet, I want to talk about the women's bracket. I forgot to promote that in the open. So, the women's bracket came out last night. And now I'm going to go over the bracket. So, the number one overall seed is surprisingly not UConn. It's Stanford, which is very, very weird. The number 2 overall seed is UConn. The number 3 overall seed is NC State. And then the other number 3 seed is South Carolina. And then Stanford will be playing Utah Valley. UConn will be playing High Point. NC State will be playing NCA&T. And South Carolina will be playing Mercer. Now I'm just going to go through the rest of the brackets. I'm doing the seeds in order. You're 8-9 in the Alamo region is Oklahoma State, Wake Forest is your 8-9. Your 5-12 in the Alamo region is Missouri State, UC Davis. Your 4-13 is Arkansas Wright State. Your 6-11 is Oregon, South Dakota. Your 3-14 is Georgia and Drexel. Your 7-10 is Northwestern UCF. And your 2-15 is Louisville Marist. In the Riverwalk region, the number 1 seed is UConn. As we talked about, they're going to be playing High Point, as we talked about. Your 8-9 is Syracuse, South Dakota State. Your 5-12 is Iowa Central Michigan. Your 4-13 is Kentucky, Idaho State. Michigan, Florida Gulf Coast is your 6-11. Your 3-14 is Tennessee, Middle Tennessee. Your 7-10 is Virginia Tech, Marquette. And your 2-15 is Baylor and Jackson State. the Mercado region, and the regions are named off of San Antonio, since the entire women's tournament will be played in San Antonio. We talked about NC State and NCAA. Your 8-9 is South Florida and Washington State. 5-12 is Gonzaga Belmont. Your 4-13 is Indiana VCU. Your 6-11 is Rutgers BYU. 3-14 Arizona Stony Brook. Your 7-10 is Iowa State Michigan State. And your 2-15 is Texas A&M and Troy. And last but not least, the Hemisphere region. We talked about the 1-16 being South Carolina Mercer. Your 8-9 is Oregon State Florida State. Your 5-12 is Georgia Tech Stephen F. Austin. Your 4-13 is West Virginia Lehigh. Your 6-11 is Texas Bradley. Your 3-14 is UCLA Wyoming. Your 7-10 is Alabama North Carolina. And your 2-15 is Maryland and Mount St. Mary's. So the women's tournament will begin on the 21st, which is a Sunday. And then the Monday, the 22nd, would be the round of 64 as well. And then I guess the 23rd and the 24th will be the round of 32. And then the Sweet 16, I guess, will be the following week. So we will predict the women's bracket eventually. I think we're going to do that on a separate podcast, perhaps over the weekend. And last, I'm going to do my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. I hinted at it earlier. I don't know why the Los Angeles Lakers are giving single-digit points against the worst team in the NBA. This is going to be a blowout. I get it. It'll be the second of a back-to-back. But I still don't get it. It's not like LeBron's missing the game. And it's down to 8.5. Like, what's going on here? Like, if LeBron doesn't play, this obviously changes a lot. I'm going to regret this if LeBron doesn't play. But LeBron's playing. He's going for the MVP. So I'm going to lay points with the Los Angeles Lakers, 8.5 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So there you have it for Best Bet of the Day. And that's it for the show. I'll be back tonight with my girlfriend Selena, as her and I will go over the bracket and make our picks. My friend Joe might join the show as well. And maybe a couple other surprise guests. We'll see. They'll do a full friends version of NCAA tournament picks. And then I might do a solo podcast with projections, though, because I don't want to confuse my friends with projections. So that should be a lot of fun tonight. So later tonight, that will drop. And I'm looking forward to it. And any other news in the world of sports and pop culture I'll have for you on tomorrow's show. And we'll go over all tomorrow's games. Look ahead to the games for tomorrow as well. Obviously, the NIT begins tomorrow, so we'll preview that a little bit. Masked Singer tomorrow as well. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.